A leader is a dealer in hope, Napoleon Bonaparte. Or as said by John Maxwell, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Assalamu alaikum, I'm your host Shahab Ahmad, and this is my second episode with you guys on Mindset News. Ladies and gentlemen, we today are living in the age of information where skills, discipline, and hard work with smart approach is the key to success. When listing a factor of an organization, it is the characteristic of the leader that matters the most. I'm here today for an exclusive interview with one of the most prominent personality of Pakistan, whom work speak for itself in terms of leadership and management paradigm. Yes, I'm talking about Kamran Rizvi. So thank you so much for being with us and giving us your time.
Thank you for having me.
Sir, how you and how was your last travel to Lahore?
I must say that I was delighted with the interactions I had with a bunch of people who had come to learn on how to be more agile and responsive to customer needs. It was a remarkable experience. And the spirit to learn in a physical environment is definitely that much higher, even though there are challenges associated with COVID, so that one has to keep a physical distance, masks, and all the SOPs have to be followed. Despite those hurdles, I think the energy and the learning that took place was remarkable. I enjoyed it.
Sir, if you would like to share your story with us before getting into the detail of your milestone for human development in Pakistan.
You know, my story, like any story, has twists and turns. And I must say that I'm grateful to God for having given me a life which is so enriching. It starts with me having done my high school in 1972, Habib Public School, Karachi. Until then, I had changed 11 schools in 5 cities. So you can imagine that by the young age of 15 or so, I had moved in 5 cities and 11 schools. So comfort zone is something I never got to know. The cities included Geneva, Dhaka, Lahore, Karachi, and Ghora Gali. And if I look back, I say that it has been a good fortune because it has allowed me to see the world
and
as
discover
my
different places.
And discover different places. So I have only one barrier to conquer, which is language. So if I go to Moscow, for example, I'm sure I'm going to struggle because I don't speak that language, and likewise in China. But wherever I'm able to connect with people and communicate with them in their language, that really makes my life easy. So United States of America, Canada, and some parts of Canada, of course, and Pakistan, where they speak Urdu, that makes it that much more enjoyable and engaging for me.
Which culture mostly fascinates you because you have been in many places?
I find that people who are very different from you in their thoughts and in their customs and traditions, they are the ones that enrich my life also. Because meeting like-minded people is convenient, it's comfortable, it's easy. But I feel that true learning happens when you meet people who have views different from yours and at times challenge your own paradigms. And therefore, you know, when you travel, you learn much more. Your paradigm expands, you're able to see things from a much wider perspective because humanity in all its beauty is so different and diverse that to be able to appreciate human existence, you must know the different paradigms, approaches, beliefs. You must be familiar and aware of them. Yet at the same time, you must be aware of your own, because it is when you are clear about your identity, then only can you respect and value the identity of others.
Most people have the problem that they don't know themselves.
Yes.
So how to dig uh, I mean, if I want to know about myself, so how I will know this thing? What's the tips or what's the tricks behind this?
You're asking a very big question. Know thyself is what Socrates had mentioned also 2,500 years back. It is the most important question in life. The whole journey is to discover who you are, what your potential is, why were you born, the purpose of life itself. That's the whole journey. Now, there are approaches to it. One is, of course, I think, therefore I am. So you are who you think you are. Now, that is one approach. The other approach, of course, is to go back to your roots, your history, because you are who you were. And who you were goes back to Adam and Abraham and our ancestors. So if you take that historical perspective, then your roots are as deep as humanity.
Exactly.
And if you take a more contemporary perspective, then it's about your thought process. Now, what is amazing about our thinking is that it is trapped and shaped by our beliefs, which were formed in our childhood, and the influences that we had. So, for example, whatever I think today and feel today and do today is really based upon what I unconsciously acquired in my childhood. From my parents, from my teachers, from my friends, from the social circle that I was influenced by, media at that time, whatever it was. So in a sense, I have to question my beliefs. What are my beliefs and how do they serve me today? And if I find that there are aspects which are keeping me down, then I have to question them. So in a sense, all of us have beliefs, and I often find that people don't value their early childhood experience, because that's very formative, right? So if I say I think, therefore I am, then probably I'm thinking something which I unconsciously acquired and may not be of great help to me. So therefore, self-awareness also requires me to examine my programming.
Self-awareness.
Yes, self-analysis.
Self-analysis.
It is vital that I do that, because if I don't get to know, why do I think what I do? Why do I give priority to things that I'm giving today? Why do I view people in a way which is not constructive? Then that is where everything happens. Our belief sets, our paradigms, our attitudes, they're formed in our childhood. And I think discovery of that and reprogramming is crucial. So it's a journey, and I must say that you only begin the discovery process by engaging with nature and people and trying to ask those questions that often don't get asked. Why do I believe what I believe? Why do I do what I do? Why do I think this is wrong and this is right? So ethical questions, values, all of those come into play. I'm a Muslim by birth, right? And what does it mean to be a Muslim? And I think that is a very big question. We often get caught up in a lot of historical differences, but the truth of the matter, in my view, is that Islam came for mankind and humanity itself. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ spoke of insaniyat, humanity. He is known to be, and I believe 100%, and now all Muslims believe, that he is a blessing for mankind, not for you and me or just the Muslims, but for mankind. And mankind includes everyone. So I suppose that lens, that belief really helps me, and I want to retain that belief, that you have to engage with people, interact with them in a manner where they feel good about themselves, not any other way. And I feel that to be a blessing operationalized, to be a blessing for others, how do you operationalize that when you see so much wrong happening in this world? How can you be a blessing to someone who committed a crime which was heinous, very hurtful? I suppose by being constructive. by being constructive, and if anyone has done wrong, the intent will drive your desire to do good. And the intent is that no one goes to hell. And how do you ensure that? That whatever wrong one has done, he or she pays for it here, on this planet, so that when they pass from here, God forgives them and saves them from hellfire. So I suppose that is the key.
Sir, let's discuss the core topic of this discussion and this show is leadership. You have a very rich experience in leadership and training and management. So how you are defining the leadership, and what do you think how that thing helps the people and organization? And how much important this word for our society, especially the word leadership?
Oh wow. It's my favorite topic.
Oh.
Leadership to me is life. And I find that to understand leadership, we need to understand followership, because it is not a sequential process. It is not something where I can say that I was a follower, today I am a leader. No, it doesn't work like that. I think we are always a follower and always a leader at all times. That's the first thing. You know, if we are not following principles, if we are not following values, if we are not following good advice, then how can we be good leaders? How can we be leaders who inspire, leaders who lead the way, show the way, go the way? I think leaders and leadership is a privilege. It's a huge responsibility, and it is acknowledging the gifts that one is born with. And it is largely to illuminate your own mind and illuminate the minds around you. And it's about power and using power responsibly. So whenever you speak of leadership in a family context, in an academic context, in a professional, in a political context, I mean, it's about power. And when you have power, you want to use it wisely. So leadership really is the quality of life that we have, and it's about impact and influence. What is your life achieving on this planet? I mean, how are people gaining from you and your presence on this planet? So when you speak of leadership, you speak of vision, you speak of courage, you speak of compassion, you speak of empathy, you speak of caring, all qualities that inspire leadership embodies. And it's a very noble and at the same time extremely significant realization that everyone on this planet is a leader and a follower. And leadership has got nothing to do with positions and titles, as we mostly believe. Leadership has everything to do with how you conduct yourself on a day-to-day basis, because you're either following at some points and at other points you're leading. So I have a feeling that organizations, if they're talking of leadership, they're talking about behaviors. Behaviors that resolve problems, resolve conflicts, behaviors that encourage others to take bold decisions, behaviors that inspire, that make people more creative, engaged, committed to a cause. Because leadership is really more about a direction that you've taken in life, a direction which is defined by improvement, defined by qualitative enhancement, and good for self and others. Now, in departments, in functions, in organizations, in societies, leadership has its own flavor and it has to be shared. You know, power, how do you gain it? How do you use it? How do you share it? How do you sustain it? I think, interestingly, good leadership, in my view, is where you are making others more powerful around you. So it's an empowering
But mostly
culture.
we are not prepared for this.
Yeah, that's our insecurities. And I find that
How to reduce those insecurities?
by having faith in the fact that laws of nature are what guide everything. I mean, what is science? Science is a study of laws of nature. And When you study the laws of nature, you discover certain principles at work. And when you align yourself with those principles, then you find strength and flight and are able to achieve things. Now, when we ignore that, then we get into this trap of ego and insecurity and fear, where if I give power, I'll be left with none. I think that is ignorance. It is not, I can't say it's anything else, because nature is so giving. I mean, if you look at a tree, it's there, it provides shade. It does not distinguish between who is going to come and sit under it. Anyone can come and enjoy its shade. Likewise with a leader. I mean, a leader is someone who becomes more powerful by giving others power, strangely. And what you give is what you get. That is the law of nature.
Mostly we are giving feedbacks to the people in a positive way.
Yeah.
But that's not, but in back we are not supporting that thing, or we are not even supporting our own words.
So are you saying...
This is the problem of attitude?
You know, I feel that feedback is the key to improvement. For example, if I'm in an honest relationship, and that's what leadership is about, to have honest and open relationships with people, to point out what is helping and what is hindering in the performance in that organization, right? So without feedback, there is no way that improvement can ever be accomplished or sincerity can ever be exhibited. Feedback is the key to building a stronger team and a stronger organization. It's like we look at the mirror, we check ourselves in the mirror. Why do we do that? We want feedback from the mirror.
And we give our feedback about it.
Yes, so when we, so our constructive feedback or positive feedback. So when you see someone doing good,
so give them a good positive feedback.
appreciate them. Let them know specifically what you saw and why you are so
This is the quality of good leadership.
Yes.
How to think out of box.
I love this question. And you know, when you're talking of, we're all in a box.
We are in box.
All of us are, and the box is the paradigm by which we interpret reality and our belief sets. And when we say think out of the box, we are saying find a new box, maybe.
Find a new box.
Because we want to be in a box. One day I remember I was sharing with my dad a saying, which is, mind is like a parachute. It works only when it opens. So imagine a guy, you know, skydiving, jumping off the plane, and the parachute not opening. He'll arrive very fast, but will be smashed to smithereens, right? So when I shared this with my dad, he says, yeah, I like the idea, but make sure the parachute is not so open that your brain falls out. So I think it's important that we think of stepping out of the box simply because if we are in a box, we are thinking in a certain way. And if the problem needs to be resolved, then we need to view it from different perspectives. So the perspective is the box.
And this is a very important thing, to see something in different perspectives.
Very crucial. And recognizing that, hey, listen, I have a bias, I have a particular way of viewing a situation. I must recognize that. And then deliberately put that on hold and see the situation from another way. Now, Dr. De Bono in this context came up with 6 thinking hats.
Okay.
And Dr.
We would like
De
to know
Bono. And he said that, look, you have a mind and you can think. That's, everyone knows that. And when you ask types of thinking, then there's positive thinking, negative thinking, and indifference. But if you look at thinking in its broader sense, he color-coded thinking. And he came up with 6 colors. And each color has its own meaning. So when we talk of thinking outside of the box, then think of the 6 colors. So he starts with red. Now what is red? Red is an emotive color.
Motive.
Emotion and passion. And he says that when you are thinking of a decision that you want to make, and you want to know how people will respond to that decision. That thinking is red hat, where you are cognizant of the concerns people may have, or the excitement they may feel, or the uncertainty they may experience when you execute that decision. So it helps you to think consequentially. Yeah, I'm about to say this, how is it going to be received? Now that thinking is red hat, according to Dr. De Bono.
Red hat?
Yes. Then he talks about another kind of thinking, which is blue, associated with blue. Now blue is, look at the sky.
Look at the sky.
Yeah, it's blue, it's a wide perspective, and what you are doing is, if you have a conversation or you're in a meeting with 6 or 10 people, and the conversation is going in all kinds of directions. So when you wear a blue hat, then what you're doing is steering everyone towards a common goal. Look, we all have opinions, we all have viewpoints. The idea of this meeting is to arrive at a decision that will take us to this point to which we all agree. Now, in order to get there, what is your contribution? How is that relevant? Let's look at that. So whenever you're attempting to steer everyone in a common direction, that is when you're using your blue hat.
Blue hat.
So now we've got two colors.
Red and blue.
Then he says, all right, let's take the yellow hat.
Yellow.
And he associates the color yellow with the sun and sunlight. And he says that, you know, there are moments in our lives when things look as though they're doomed, you know, we're doomed. You know, oh my God, COVID has hit us. Now what is going to happen? So optimism.
Optimism.
So what happens is that whenever there is a doom and gloom scenario, there's always the opposite as well. When it is night, it is also proof of the day to come. And optimism sometimes is very necessary, where in a bleak situation, in a very challenging situation, you're able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So when you're engaging with people and talking about a very difficult situation that they're in, how do you build hope in them? How do you bring optimism into their thinking? So that's when you are using your yellow hat, trying to see the bright side of things, as opposed to, surrendering to the inevitable. But how do you see the bright side? So that is yellow thinking, okay? Yellow hat thinking. Then he talks about green. Green he associates as a color for agriculture.
Agriculture, yeah.
Where things grow, ideas grow. And, you know, if you want to activate a human mind, just give it a problem. And when you give a person a problem, then he starts to think, or she starts to think. And thinking is literally idea generation as well. So when you're coming up with ideas and looking at, okay, so we have a problem. The problem is that, let us take an example, that our production of product X is not of the quality that is required, and customers are constantly rejecting it. Why? Because they find that it doesn't last as long as we had committed. Now you give that problem to the team, okay, now fix the problem. They start thinking. Now when they come up with ideas, it is because they are wearing a green hat. So essentially, we've looked at the red hat,
Blue.
which is emotions and passion, blue, which helps us
Come
to
to a
take a
point.
big view. Then we looked at the yellow, which looks at the brighter side of things.
The positive.
Now when we talk about this
Green
hat, it's when you're stuck in a problem, think creatively. That's also coming out of the box.
Where do you see we lack as a nation regarding leadership and management?
I feel that in Pakistan, and most countries around the world, by the way, most countries around the world, what we lack in is awareness of our purpose on this planet and how we can engage others in the effort to make this world a better place. It's not just Pakistan. Leadership and management is about vision and capability. Leaders have a vision And that vision is not just for themselves, but for the society in which they are living. And management is the ability to convert the resources we have into results efficiently and effectively. So I find that in Pakistan, we do have knowledge. We have knowledge on leadership, we have knowledge on management. What we don't have is the willingness to execute and deliver. Common sense is there, but it's not common practice. And I feel that we have given value to degrees, to what I know, rather than to what I do. So good and positive change will only come when we convert what we know into how we do it. Just knowing it and passing exams and getting distinctions is not good enough. Till knowledge is converted into action, which is done with heart, we will be amiss. So I don't think any society lacks knowledge. What is lacking is the will to deliver what is needed. So just saying good things is not enough. And they say that to know and not to do is as good as not to know. Michael Anthony Jackson said that. I fully subscribe to it. So only your actions are going to make a difference, and leadership by example is what we are talking about, aren't we? And I'm afraid I don't see too many examples of that in our society.
Bringing our interview towards end, I would like to pay my heartiest thanks, respect and gratitude for giving us time, and to let the people know about these ideas, steps, and especially the 6 colors.
But I think this was something that I feel very honored about, because there are viewpoints. I have a perspective and there are so many others, and you're doing a great job, Shahab, for introducing a wide audience with the kind of thoughts that may make a difference in their lives, definitely. And I'm very happy that I could contribute in a small way.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, I want to change myself, and then I want to change the society. And this is what I learned, some from you and some from other good leaders and good people. So thank you so much. See you in next episode.
Definitely, I would look forward to that. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.